Okay, guys, this is Miss Chamberlain, and I am just popping in to give you guys a mini lesson on writing a thesis statement. Thesis statements will probably end up being one of the last things that you revise because oftentimes our thesis is kind of like a hypothesis that might change throughout research. We might think we feel one way, but by the time we're done with our research, we feel a different way. But there actually are kind of a formula to this that you can follow. So I'm going to help walk you through that here today. All right, first, what is a thesis statement? It's a sentence in which you state your main argument and a brief description of how you're going to prove it. So if you're writing about how, for your essay, how the fast fashion industry exploits workers and causes extreme landfill pollution, you're gonna just state that. That's all your thesis is gonna be. It's gonna state what your argument is, that we need to regulate factory wages, and you're gonna prove it by talking about, your sort of three main points of we need to regulate this because of the research that you found that these people died or that these people have unfit working conditions, etc. There are a million ways to structure a thesis statement, but for those of you that struggle with that, I'm going to give you a specific model that you can kind of follow if you get stuck, and it's called concession thesis reasons. So here's an example. So this is talking about whether or not the school should have security cameras. So what the concession just means, okay, so you have your argument, right? That you think schools should have security cameras. Well, the first thing you need to do is address that no matter what it is that you feel about something, whatever it is you're arguing, there's always another side. And the concession is acknowledging and getting ahead of what the other side is. And saying that even though there is this other side, you're aware of this, your reasons are more outweigh and are more important than that other side. So for instance, in this example, it says, although surveillance cameras may be expensive, that is the concession. That is the part in which you understand that. You get that they're pricey. But, and here's your main point, here's your argument, schools should install them because schools should install them. That's your main point. You're saying that's your thesis. Schools should install them being cameras. And then your reasons are that last part, because they increase safety, reduce vandalism, and keep both teachers and students accountable for their actions. That first part of the statement, that's the concession. It's just where you recognize that there's an opposing side. If you're talking about if you're arguing about during cold flu season, if you're talking about pandemics, so let's say you're arguing that in order to prevent future pandemics, face masks should be required during the entirety of cold and flu season in public spaces. Let's say that's what your sort of main point is, and you're looking back at different plagues and things like that. You might say, although they are expensive and inconvenient, public policy should be that face masks should be required to wear during cold and flu season because they greatly reduce spreading from infected persons, getting catching infections from those that are infected around you, and promote social wellness. That's something that you could do there. So that thesis is just schools should install them. And the reasons, make sure your thesis statement should include some of the reasons of why we should care. Like in your essay, no matter what it is you're writing about, you're trying to convince us why young people should care about your topic. So you need to make sure that you have at least 3 reasons, specific reasons of why we should care. And all of those topics that I put on that list, they all have a reason why we should care. Multiple reasons. So if you get stuck and you're like, I can't think of how to phrase this, reach out to me. I'll try and help you. So here's an example. While it's true that the person you are on the inside is what's most important, you should take care of your appearance because it will increase your confidence, shows you have respect for others, and it will give you opportunities you might not otherwise have. What is the concession there? Sort of feel like Dora the Explorer here. What is the concession? I don't know if you're answering on the other end, but the concession is, while it's true that the person you are on the inside is what's most important, you're acknowledging what's inside is important. Your thesis is your argument. What are you arguing in this essay? That you should take care of your appearance because it'll increase your confidence. What are your reasons? Shows you have respect to others, will give you opportunities you might not otherwise have, and increases your confidence. I don't necessarily agree with any of that, but this is just an example. Here's another one. Even though serious behavior problems need serious consequences, schools should not suspend students. This practice creates academic problems, leads to further disciplinary procedures, and to some students it can feel like more of a reward. What are the reasons that they shouldn't suspend students? Creates academic problems, leads to further disciplinary procedures, and to some students it can feel like a reward. Okay, that's simple. What is the thesis? The thesis, the sort of thesis statement buried in the whole thing is a thesis, but the sort of main point in there is that schools should not suspend students. That's their argument. And the concession is, what's the other side going to say against them? Is that even though serious behavior problems need serious consequences, like we get that if you do something really bad, you need a serious consequence, but suspending kids can lead to all these other problems. And so if you're talking about, e-waste and how, we don't have systems in place for proper recycling or incentives, you might say, like, although it's inconvenient to take your old computer to a specific e-waste recycling plant, it is important that you do so because, and talking about, alkaloids leaking into water tables and building up in landfills and unrecyclable material, etc. So an easy way to write a thesis is to start by asking yourself, what am I talking about here? So if you're talking about a pandemic, you might say, although pandemics have happened throughout the centuries, ours could have been prevented because, and give your reasons why you think COVID-19 could have been prevented or not prevented. Just that sort of formula, concession, thesis, reason. Hang on, sorry. I don't know what my computer is doing right now. Anyway, that's all for that mini lesson. My computer is being very strange right now. Hold up, y'all. What is going on here? Anyway, that is the last, sorry about that. That is the last of that thesis writing mini statement. If you want me to review your thesis statement, or what you're working on so far, or just talk you through like how I would write this paper, I'm going to start a document where you can sign up for time for that in sort of 30-minute chunks. But that's all there is for this mini lesson.